Question 1. You want to deploy application using microservice architecture in GKE, but you do not want to expose these microservices endpoints to external world. All these microservices will be used inside cluster only. All these microservices can have different number of replicas. Now suggest a way so that all these microservices can communicate with each other in uniform and consistent manner. Answer. Create deployment for each microservice to deploy in GKE cluster. Use service to expose the deployment in the cluster. One microservices should talk to other microservice in cluster via service DNS name. Question 2. Your company has an enterprise application running on GCE VM instances. This application has requirement of high availability and high performance. The application has been deployed on 2 instances in 2 zones in the same region where one instance is active instance and other instance runs in passive mode. This application writes data to a persistent disk, and you need to make this application fault tolerant so that if there is a zonal failure in one zone, then data should be immediately made available to the other instance running in second zone. As Google Cloud Architect, how can you maximize performance of this application with minimum downtime and minimum data loss? Answer. 1. Attach a regional SSD persistent disk to the first instance. 2. In case of a zone outage, force attach the disk to the other instance. Question 3. Your company has developed a recommendation engine for its customers which is exposed via REST API for its customers, where user will provide a user ID as input and the REST API will return a list of recommendations as output for the given user ID. You need to manage the API lifecycle. You also need to ensure stability for your customers in case the API makes backward incompatible changes. As a Google Cloud Architect, what solution you would like to suggest as per Google Cloud recommendations? Answer. Use the current version number for the new API. Use a versioning strategy for the APIs that increases the version number on every backward incompatible change. Question 4. For a web application, how can you ensure the production deployment of application is linked to source code commits? Answer. Make sure that container tag match the source code commit hash. Question 5. Your team needs to deploy application on Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, cluster. This application need access to third-party services on the internet. As per company policy, no compute engine VM instance can have a public IP address in GCP. How can you create a deployment strategy that meets these guidelines? Answer. Configure the GKE cluster as a private cluster. Configure Cloud NAT gateway for the cluster subnet. Question 6. Your company wants to store some critical data in a GCS bucket. And your company needs to rotate the encryption key used to encrypt the data in the bucket. This data will be processed in Cloud Dataflow. As per Google Cloud's recommendation for the security, what solution would you like to suggest for this use case? Answer. Create a key with Cloud Key Management Service, KMS. Set the encryption key on the bucket to the Cloud KMS key. Question 7. Your company wants to do outsourcing of operation functions. They want their developers to deploy new versions of application in staging environment for verification purpose. After verification in staging environment, they want to allow the outsourced operations team to promote this verified deployment version to production environment. Which GCP products should you use to minimize the operation overhead of the solution? Answer. App Engine. Question 8. Your company is using BigQuery in Google Cloud Project. Company's on-premise environment is connected to Google Cloud via VPN tunnel. What solution can you suggest to ensure security in this system to avoid data exfiltration and accidental oversharing? Answer. Configure VPC service controls and configure private Google access. Question 9. One team in your company has been running one application in Google Cloud. This team has recently started using Cloud Pub/Sub with this application. Due to increase in load on the application servers, this application has started giving many timeout error. This application is not logging any pub/sub publishing errors. You want to improve publishing latency. As Google Cloud Architect, what will you suggest in this case? Answer. Stop using pub/sub message batching. Question 10. Your company wants to scale existing business critical application. They have customers across the globe. For this application, GKE cluster will be used to host the application. Currently, company is not interested in migrating its existing MySQL on-premises database to cloud. So application servers need high speed, consistent and highly available connectivity between their on-premises data center and Google Cloud to access on-premises database. As per Google's recommended practices for production-level applications, what solution will you suggest for hybrid connectivity between your company's on-premises systems and Google Cloud? Answer. Configure 2 dedicated interconnect connections in one metro, city, and 2 connections in another metro. Ensure that interconnect connections are placed in different metro zones. Question 11. You want to build an application and you are interested in using serverless cloud functions for backend services. In your application, you have requirements that cloud function should be able to invoke another cloud function. As per Google Cloud recommendation, what solution will you suggest to ensure that function accept request from function only? Answer. Make function require authentication. Create a unique service account and associate it to function. Grant the service account invoker role for function. Create an id token in function and pass the token with request when invoking function. Question 12. Your company has about 1 petabyte (PB) of critical data in on-premises data center. You want to export this data to GCS bucket. There is a 1 Gbps interconnect link between on-premises data center and Google Cloud. Other team wants to use data stored in GCS bucket after 1 month. What solution will you suggest for such data export? Answer. Use transfer appliances from Google Cloud to export the data to Google's cloud storage bucket. Question 13. Your company wants to build microservice-based application. Your team want to deploy this application using Docker containers. How would you like to set up pipeline that can store the build artifacts and can do C/CD for your application? Answer. Create a cloud build trigger for new source code changes. Invoke cloud build that will first build the container image, and then tag the image with a code commit hash. Push that images to the container registry. Question 14. Your company wants to convert a monolithic application into RESTful microservices. Your team want to run those microservices on cloud run by using Docker containers. Your application has customer across the globe. How can you ensure that these services are highly available? Also, customers expect low latency from your solution? Answer. Deploy cloud run services in multiple regions. Create serverless network endpoint groups pointing to the services. Use serverless NEGs as a backend service for the global HTTP's load balancer. Question 15. There is an existing application which is running on Compute Engine instances which are managed via Managed Instance Group. Now you need to upgrade this application with some non-critical update. You have created a new instance template for this non-critical update. How can you deploy this non-critical update with no impact on existing VM instances? You need to ensure that only new VM instances has updated application running inside them. Answer. Start a new rolling update with opportunistic update mode.